Evening, everyone. Again, I am your host, Chi-Town Zone, for Thursday, December the 12th, 2019. And again, thank you all for joining me. But before we get started here, let me apologize to my viewers. Fortunately, I had to cut it a little short this morning for the sake of time. I had to get ready for work. And then, of course, when I got to work, many of you may be familiar with actor slash music artist Common. He made a stop off at the job today for an event, and of course that made things even more busier as well. But moving on, guys. This just in by Breitbart News. Joe Biden pledges to obstruct Congress, which is nothing new, as many of you may already know. I just recently mentioned how Joe Biden went on to state that if subpoenaed by the Republicans, he will not testify, which itself, as many of you may know, is obstruction. He refuses to testify because, as many of you may know, he is scared, just like the rest of the Democrats. They're crapping on their pants because they know that President Trump is doing exactly as he promised during his campaign run in 2016, that he was going to drain the swamp, and he's coming after every single one of these guys. But the article here goes to further read, Democrats are about to impeach President Trump for something Joe Biden is bragging about, obstructing Congress, as many of you may already know. But one of the two articles, as many of you may know as well, by the U.S. House, which they intend to pass, on President Trump, which they are accusing him of, is obstruction of Congress, which Turley went on to already state, as many of you may know, this is not on President Trump. This is on Congress. But continuing on here in the article, where it goes on to further read here, regardless, Democrats and the corporate media are both barreling ahead with this nonsense as though it's legitimate and are prepared to turn a refusal to comply with the congressional subpoena into a crime worthy of impeachment. And yet, the media and the Democrats all cheer with Joe Biden, which he says he will do the exact same thing Trump's doing. Of course, he has already said he is not going to cooperate with the Republicans. He has already said he is not going to testify. But it's funny that they accuse President Trump, as I've said and others have said, of abusing his powers. Look what Schiff is doing. I mean, look what the Democrats are doing. And it was earlier today again during the second round of hearings. What's his face? Nadler refused to let Democrats bring their own witnesses on President Trump's behalf. It just goes to show you, as I've said, just entirely how unfair this thing really is. But in the end, I do believe, and many others do believe, that President Trump is going to be completely exonerated of any wrongdoing, because since day one, as many of the Republicans have said yesterday, long before this phone call with Ukraine or whatever, Democrats have been doing all they can to get President Trump impeached. But moving on, guys, because, again, before we go on any further, they're not going to be able to get this man impeached, but they're doing all that they can. But, of course, moving on, let's see what we have here. Excuse me a second. I hate when this happens. Eric Swalwell, as many of you may know, this is the same guy who was caught farting on camera while being interviewed on MSNBC a couple of days ago, should I say. Eric Swalwell challenges Republicans to dispute his facts. What facts? The Democrats don't have any facts. They're running off of emotion and lies. And, it's getting ridiculous. But, unfortunately, it just won't end until, the Republicans, convict President Trump. But as many of you may know, it's not going to happen. Republicans are prepared to fight. And, the Democrats are willing to lose their seats in the House. But that's nothing new. They're playing ball game. And, they're going to lose big time, guys. But the article here goes to further read. Eric Swalwell, Democrat of California, attempted to defend his and other Democrats' claims that the facts in the impeachment debate were undisputed by challenging the Republicans in the House Judiciary Committee to dispute his facts, which we know are all lies. They've all been debunked already, every single one of them, of course, as many of you may know. But for the sake of time, we're going to cut this video a little short. We got plenty to talk about, as many of you may already know. So for those of you, again, watching for the first time, do feel free to subscribe and be sure to hit that little bell for notifications. But with that being said, I will be leaving links in the description box for you below so you can read into this yourself if you like. And with that being said, God bless and do stay tuned.